Hello everyone, welcome to my review of Nocturnal Animals. This film is written and directed by Tom Ford, based on a novel by Austin Wright. It is starring Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon, and Aaron Taylor-Johnson. The film is about an art gallery owner portrayed by Amy Adams who receives a package in the mail, and in this package is a manuscript of her ex-husband's novel. And they are kind of estranged, so it is a very strange thing for her to receive. But the film is about her dealing with the story within this novel, because the film is structured in a way where we see what is going on with her in her life, as well as we see what is happening in the story within the novel as she is reading it, as well as we get flashbacks of her and her estranged ex-husband's early relationship. Before I delve any further into the review, I want to say I'm going to be as vague as possible, or at least try to be, because wow, this film I think people should experience with knowing as little about it as possible going in. So I'm going to try to be extremely vague, especially when discussing anything to do with the plot. But first off, I want to say a lot about the direction in the film, and specifically that of director Tom Ford. Tom Ford is not typically a movie director. He works in the fashion industry, and that is really where he has made his career. But this is not the first film that he has directed. He has directed a film a few years ago called A Single Man, starring Colin Firth and Julianne Moore. I believe that came out around 2009. And with that film, it dealt with a lot of surrealism and a lot of personal kind of traumatic things. And this film is very similar to that, except I think he has really upped his game when it's come to filmmaking and directing and storytelling. Like I said, this film really deals with kind of three plot lines, all meshed into one, all kind of adopting elements from each of them, and you can see how they all really coalesce together. I'm not going to give too much away about the plots. I'll just say is that the film is deeply layered in plot and metaphor and symbology and things of that nature, and it is also a rather surreal film. I have to say, I really like this film a lot. I dare say I loved this film. This is something that I really love about film, is how cerebral and how dark and how artistic it can get, because I feel this film is all of those things, and I feel that also this film is very bold. It was immensely refreshing to see a director be extremely bold with this film, take chances, really do things aesthetically that other filmmakers probably wouldn't dare to do or perhaps aren't allowed to do. If you see the opening of this film, you understand what I mean. It is a very bold film in a lot of aspects, including some ambiguity in the film as well. But I won't say any more about that. I'll just say that the acting was phenomenal in this film as well. Amy Adams this year, I think, is really better than ever. I've always loved her as an actress. If you've seen Arrival, or if you've seen my review of Arrival, you know how much I loved her in that. I also thought she was very good in this. It's a different role for her. It's more subdued, it's more contemplative, it's more understated, but I still think she is an A-list actress, and she really brought a lot to this role. Also, Jake Gyllenhaal in the film is great as well. He is actually having to play two roles. He's playing the role of her estranged ex-husband in these kind of flashback scenes, as well as the character within the story that her ex-husband has written. And it is really, really interesting to see certain parallels between those two characters. You really see how this story is extremely metaphorical for their past relationship. I won't say anything else, but it is very metaphorical. There's a lot of parallels between the two, and I think you'll pick up on that as the film goes on. The film is definitely a thinking piece. You have to really think a lot about this film and what the themes are. There's a lot of themes in this film. Things like regret, lost love, loss, kind of nihilism as well. Nihilism is a very undercurrent theme throughout this film. This film feels very nihilistic, which is really interesting to see in a film today. But back to the acting, the real standout of the film for me is Michael Shannon. He has a role in this film, and he just executes it so darn well. He plays a sheriff, but kind of a sheriff who really doesn't care at all about the morality of his job. He has, for the lack of a better term, no more fucks to give in his life for certain personal reasons, but he is just chewing up the scenery so darn well. He is fierce in this film, and Michael Shannon, if you're familiar with his work, he has this ability to give these such fierce and stern expressions and looks in his eyes that they just drill right through you, and it's really, really menacing to see. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. I'm not quite sure if he would win that award, but I'm just saying it is a fantastic, fantastic performance by him. And also another good performance, at least in my opinion, is Aaron Taylor-Johnson. Some of you may remember him from roles as Quicksilver in Avengers Age of Ultron, or you remember him from the two Kick-Ass films, or from other films that he's done. And he's kind of an okay actor for me. He's passable, he's good in some contexts, but in this film, I thought he played a really just sadistic and dirty and disgusting character, and I thought he played it really well. Extremely sleazy and authentically sleazy in every way possible. He had some of these looks on his face and these just menacing, just frightening eyes. It was really a very good performance by him. And I also have to say the film has very gorgeous cinematography, and the editing, the way they're able to transition in between all of the different plot lines in the film, I thought they were very seamless, and you were able to keep up with it, because usually films with different multiple plot lines going on, whether it's flashbacks or flash forwards or whatever, sometimes the narrative can get lost, and the viewers can get lost as well. You don't know if it's in the past or present or whatever, but this film, you were definitely able to keep up with that. It was seamless, it was beautiful, it was extremely well done. You have to really, I guess, appreciate Tom Ford's visual aesthetic when it comes to the fashion industry for that, because every scene seems to be meticulously detailed and really well done to really elevate the visuals of the film, whether it's the costuming, the makeup, or just the outside aesthetics. Really, really gorgeous film. And I also understand that this is not going to be a film for everyone. This is, like I say, it's very surreal. There is some pretentiousness in it, for those of you familiar with pretentious films. It is very artsy, and it is very ambiguous in certain plot things. It's really, really not for everyone, and I can understand that. Also, while I said the film is rather layered, and the layers are delivered to us pretty accessibly, they are literally on the screen telling us what one of the plots is. It's really kind of an interesting thing. So it is really kind of heavy-fisted in that sense, but I still think the film has a lot of other subtleties to it. But I do highly recommend this to kind of people who are really kind of fans of artistic and maybe art house cinema, surreal cinema. It really reminded me a lot of David Lynch. It felt like Mulholland Drive. It felt like Lost Highway. If you're familiar with David Lynch's work, you understand his brand of surrealism. It really felt like that. It had that level of cerebralness to it. Also, I found myself extremely immersed in this film. Immersed in a very interesting way. I found it to be very tenseful throughout. It's also a film that I wouldn't say struggles with balancing all of its themes, balancing all of this, but it does introduce a lot of themes and a lot of questions and a lot of thought-provoking things that it doesn't really have the time to really delve into each one too thoroughly, so it felt very incomplete from that sense, but I don't think it was something that definitely destroyed the film for me in any way. Like I said, I love this film. I understand if there are those who don't really like it, who will not enjoy it as much as me or as much as others have, but with that all being said, I'm going to have to give this film a rather high score. I'm going to go with a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It was a film that I contemplated giving a full 5 out of 5 stars to. It may go up to that level after I have seen it once again, because I do think it's a film you have to see multiple times. It is that thought-provoking. This has been my review of Nocturnal Animals, written and directed by Tom Ford, starring Amy Adams, Jake Gyllenhaal, Aaron TaylorJohnson, and Michael Shannon. If you like this video, please check out my other movie reviews, as well as the various episode reviews I'm doing for the comic book television series.